I'm Anna, and last Thanksgiving, my entire family discovered a truth I never planned to say out loud. But before I tell you what I said, let me tell you what pushed me to the edge. Because it wasn't just one moment. It was years of being ignored, dismissed, and treated like the unmarried failure of the family. If you like stories that expose family hypocrisy, hit follow, because this one is still hard for me to talk about. It started the moment I walked through my parents' front door. My mom didn't hug me. She just looked at my ring finger, smiled like she pitied me, and said, "Your sister's wedding was so beautiful, wasn't it? When's yours, honey?" That was her version of hello. I laughed it off. I always did. But inside, something cracked that night. The thing is, I had been married. Not for long. Not publicly. Not with a white dress or a big party. And nobody in that house knew it. Not my mom. Not my sister Emma, not even my father. Only one person knew, the man I married. The same man my sister now proudly called her new business partner. I kept telling myself to stay calm. I sat at the dinner table pretending everything was normal. People passed dishes, talked over each other, laughed too loudly. My mother bragged about Emma's wedding photos for the 15th time. My father interrupted me whenever I tried to speak. And Emma? She kept touching her brand new diamond necklace like she wanted everyone to notice. She finally leaned toward me and said, "You know, maybe you'll meet someone next year. Don't give up." Like I was a stray dog hoping for scraps. I forced a smile. Yeah, maybe. But internally, I kept replaying a moment from 8 months ago, the night my life split in two. I married Daniel in a courthouse on a rainy Tuesday. No family. No friends, just us. He said he wanted something private. Something ours, no pressure, no expectations. He made me believe that simple was beautiful. And I was stupid enough to believe him. Back then he used to tell me, "I don't love noise. I love you." I thought that was romantic. Turns out it was convenient. For 6 months we lived like ghosts. No visitors. He avoided my family. He avoided pictures. He said we'd do a real wedding later once things settled. I trusted him. I always trusted him. Until one night, in the middle of an argument about him disappearing every weekend, he said something slipped, something so specific. I knew immediately he wasn't lying. He said, "Your sister loves showing off. She'll drain me dry if we let her plan anything." I froze. Why would my sister be planning anything with you? He shut down instantly. He said he didn't mean it. Said he was drunk. Said he mixed up words. But you know when someone gives away a truth by accident? That was the moment. I didn't sleep that night. 3 days later, I found texts on his laptop. Messages he forgot to delete. Messages from Emma, long ones. Emotional ones. Ones people don't send to their sibling's partner. And messages he sent back. Calling her sweetheart, asking her to meet him. Telling her things he never told me. But the one message that shattered me said, "Please be patient. I told you I'd end it with her. I just need time." Her reply, "I don't want time. I want you." I spent the whole night sitting on the bathroom floor, staring at the door, wondering how my own sister could do this. Wondering why the one person I married couldn't even give me honesty. The next morning, I didn't confront him. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I quietly packed a bag, put the marriage certificate in a folder, and walked out. No note, no explanation, nothing. I filed for annulment the next day. He didn't fight it. Of course he didn't. He was already building a whole new story with her. Fast forward to Thanksgiving. They were both sitting at the table pretending they barely spoke. Emma giggling at her phone every few minutes. Him pretending he didn't notice. My mother completely obsessed with Emma's life. Emma's wedding, Emma's happiness. And me? I sat there invisible. Until my mother asked the question again. "Anna, sweetheart, your sister's wedding was perfect. When are we going to have yours?" I felt everything inside me go still. For once, I didn't swallow it. I didn't shrink. I didn't pretend. I looked right at her and said, "Had mine." The whole table went silent. Forks froze midair. Even Emma stopped smiling. My mother frowned. "You what?" "Had what?" "My wedding," I said. "I already had it." She stared at me like I had just spoken a foreign language. "Anna, stop joking." "You were never engaged." I shook my head. "I was married. Technically, I'm divorced now." And instantly I saw it. The panic in Emma's eyes. The shock in Daniel's face. The way both of them looked at each other for 1 second too long. My mother gasped. "Anna? Why didn't you tell us?" Because he didn't want anyone to know, I said, keeping my eyes on Emma. He said it was better that way. Emma looked down at her plate so slowly it almost looked rehearsed. I'm sorry you went through that, she said softly. Her voice shook, but not from sympathy, from fear. My father cleared his throat. Where is this man now? I shrugged, no idea. He moved on pretty fast. I didn't say more. I watched them both squirm. I wasn't ready to expose everything, not yet. Not in front of everyone. But for the first time, they knew something was coming. Dinner continued, but the mood changed. Emma barely touched her food. Daniel excused himself twice. My mother whispered questions nonstop, but I ignored all of them. After dessert, when most people had gone home, Emma followed me outside as I walked to my car. Anna, she said, grabbing my arm, please don't make things messy. I turned slowly. Messy? Her eyes were glossy. Her voice cracked. I'm getting married too. Soon. You could ruin everything if you tell them what happened. I stepped closer to her. Emma, what exactly are you afraid I'll tell them? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Please, don't say anything. Mom will lose it. Dad won't look at me the same. And Daniel... I cut her off. Daniel, really? She took a shaky breath. He chose me, not you. But you can't punish us forever. I stared at her, stunned. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't ashamed. She just didn't want the consequences. I leaned in and said, I'm not the one who's going to expose you. She blinked. Then who? Before she could finish, the porch light switched on. My mother stood in the doorway, holding something in her hand. A piece of paper. Her face looked pale, confused, shocked. She said, Anna, what is this? Why did your sister have this hidden in her room? Emma's entire body went stiff. I recognized the paper instantly. It was my marriage certificate. But here's the part that made my stomach drop. My mother looked at it again and whispered, Why is Emma's name written on the back of this? Emma's mouth opened, but no words came out. I turned toward her, feeling everything, fear, anger, confusion collide at once. And that was the moment I realized something. Emma had done more than steal my husband. She had been planning something bigger, darker, and the proof was right in my mother's hand. I took a step toward her and whispered, Emma, what did you do? She opened her mouth. And right then, the porch door slammed open behind us. It was Daniel. And he said 4 words that froze every drop of blood in my body. Anna, we need to talk. Mom froze first. Then Dad, then the whole room. My sister's smile slowly dropped, like someone unplugged her ego. She looked at me almost offended. What do you mean you already got married? I kept my face steady. Exactly what it sounds like. For a moment, I enjoyed the silence. It was the first time in years my family didn't talk over me. My heart was beating like crazy, but I didn't let it show. My husband, Ethan, stepped out from the hallway where he'd been waiting. My parents stared at him like he was something they accidentally stepped on. My sister's jaw tightened. She whispered, Is this a joke? I said, No, this is my husband. And you didn't ask about my life for years? So I stopped volunteering information. My dad finally spoke. Why didn't you tell us? I swallowed. Because every time I tried, you shut me down. Because when I said I had someone special, Mom laughed and said, Probably another phase. Because when I invited you to meet him 2 years ago, you didn't show up, my sister finally snapped. So what? You're mad because I didn't celebrate you? Grow up, Emily. I looked her dead in the eye. I'm not mad about the wedding. My voice shook a little. I'm mad because you stole my life insurance payout. The one Dad left me in his will. The one you told Mom I didn't need. The one you cashed like it was yours. She blinked too fast. Mom looked confused. Dad looked guilty. I pulled out the folder from my bag. Ethan placed a steadying hand on my back. These, I said, are the original documents from Dad's lawyer. You forged my signature. My sister's face went pale instantly. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. My dad whispered, Tell me she's lying. Mom stared at her, wide-eyed. My sister stuttered, I didn't forge anything. Mom said you don't need the money. You're the stable one. You don't complain. You don't ask. I cut her off. You thought I wouldn't fight back. The room felt heavy. I could see the calculations happening in each of their eyes. And then came the mid-twist. I looked at my sister and said, You didn't know one thing. Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. What? I already filed a case 6 months. Ego fraud, theft, identity forgery. Mom gasped like she got punched. Dad whispered, Emily, I didn't break eye contact with my sister. I wasn't going to tell you today. But when Mom asked me when I'd get married like you, I realized something. My voice cracked. I realized you all think I'm the weak one. My sister let out a shaky laugh. Are you insane? You want to send your own sibling to jail? I didn't want to, I said softly. But I needed to protect myself. And you didn't leave me a choice. She stepped forward. Fine, you want the money? I'll pay you back. All of it. Tomorrow. Just tell them to drop the case. I smiled. Sad, not triumphant. It's not just about the money. She froze. Then what? It's about you learning that I'm not the person you can walk over anymore. She shook her head. You think you won? Mom, Dad, tell her she's going too far. Tell her. Dad didn't say a word. Mom didn't either. And for the first time in my life, my sister was alone. She looked terrified. She whispered, Emily, please. You're ruining my life. You ruined mine first, I said. You just never noticed. She suddenly ran toward me like she wanted to grab my arm. Maybe beg, maybe lash out, I'll never know. Ethan stepped forward, blocking her gently but firmly. Don't touch my wife. Wife. My sister stiffened at the word. It clearly stung more than the lawsuit. She pointed at him. You manipulated her. You turned her against us. Ethan laughed once. She didn't need to be turned. You pushed her. Her eyes filled with tears. Real ones, but they came too late. The final twist came when I turned to my parents. By the way, Dad's lawyer contacted me yesterday. They both looked up. There's a new clause in Dad's trust, I continued. If one beneficiary commits fraud against another, they forfeit their share. My sister's mouth dropped. Mom covered hers. Dad closed his eyes as if he already knew it was true. Which means, I said slowly, you didn't just lose my payout. You lost your inheritance too. My sister collapsed into a chair. No. This can't be happening. Mom whispered, why didn't you tell us earlier? I stared at her. Why didn't you ever ask? Silence again? The kind that exposes people. I turned to Ethan. Let's go. My sister looked up, crying. Emily, please, don't leave me like this. That line hurt. More than I expected. I breathed in slowly. You didn't think twice about leaving me behind for years? I'm your sister, she whispered. And I hope one day you'll act like one, I replied. I walked toward the door, and right before stepping out, I delivered the final blow, not with anger, but clarity. I reported the fraud. What happens next is between you and the law. But whether you go to jail or you settle, that's on you. Not me, my sister sobbed harder. Mom reached for me, but I stepped back. Dad said nothing, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. I walked out with Ethan. The cold November air hit my face as soon as we stepped outside. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I felt free. Ethan squeezed my hand. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, actually, I am. We got into the car. As we drove away, I stared at the lights of the house getting smaller in the mirror. I knew things would never be the same again. And maybe that was the point. Some families don't break. They just show you who they were all along. And some people, like me, finally stop pretending they're unbreakable. My emotional truth? Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away before you're destroyed completely. If you want more real-life stories like this, hit follow. Because the next one might be the most shocking yet.